So what happens is in our day-to-day life, this is what I see sometimes. The goals, sometimes we get diverted as maintenance people from the goals that we really want. And I'm coming back to what I think that we need to focus on, reliability and maintenance. But let's say that you have New Year's Eve is coming up soon, right? And let's say you want to have better cardio and you want to lose weight. Let's say that's your goal. You want to do that as a person. Okay, that means I need to run a few times a week, a total 50 miles per week, whatever it is, right? So what do? As an engineer, I'm going to start going buying a Garmin because you can't go running without a Garmin, right? So I need to keep track of how much I run because otherwise I don't know if I hit my goal. So I go get my Garmin watch, and it takes me about 2-3 hours to figure out how this Garmin watch needs to work. Then it's raining outside. Now I live in Belgium. I don't live in North Carolina anymore, so I need to buy a treadmill. So now I'm 2 degrees away from actually doing what I need to do. I'm start buying a treadmill, and I have my Garmin. I'm trying to figure out, well, what's next? Well, I need to update the software on my Garmin, of course, right? And you know how that goes. That goes about like that. And then they have to integrate the Garmin watch with the treadmill somehow, and I try to figure out how that goes. So now I'm about 3 degrees off my goal. Then I call support. Now I'm 4 degrees away from what I actually need to be doing. Now, we can go on, right? This goes on for a while, but I'm not running yet. If I want to improve my preventive maintenance, this is a generic example, but this is what happens. I want to improve my preventive maintenance, so I want to document better PMs and manage the system, and I want to execute better preventive maintenance actions in the plant. So what do? Well, I have SAP, right? So I don't know how to actually enter an inspection route in SAP or a lubrication route in SAP. And I don't know how, so what we need to do is we probably need to get a super user from SAP. And you have your corporation, so you have one, maybe if you're lucky, you have 2, and they're very busy people. And in my opinion, they don't always work that hard, but don't tell them that. Now, so you're 2 degrees away. We're looking for this super user. Now, what I need to do is I need to also make this mobile. If I'm going to have routes, I mean, we're in the 2024, almost 2025. So I need to have a handheld solution. So now I start finding a handheld solution for SAP because I can't start doing the routes yet. Now, the next thing I need to figure out is how to get the data into that system. I'm 4 degrees away from what I actually need to do. No one has done an inspection on the equipment in the field yet. We're looking at all this prep work, etc. You see what I'm going with this? This happens in plants, probably not yours, but in other plants all the time. We get too far off the goal for what we actually need to do. Implementing a digital solution is not a goal in itself, right? All the speakers have said that. So what you get is what I call this rocking horse management. There's a lot of moving parts. We're doing project plans, we're doing all kinds of stuff, but we don't get any results in reliability on the floor. So I just encourage you, I'm not saying it's wrong with digital solution, but do it right and focus so you actually get results on the floor, right? How is the only way you can get reliability, guys? There's 2 ways you can get reliability. Now, this is a little bit my own theory. Nobody has shot a hole in it yet. We'll see. To me, one way we can do that is to prevent failures from happening. That's one way of actually having better reliability. The other way we can do that is to inspect, plan, schedule, and execute. So at the end of the day, you need to execute a repair job faster with higher quality and safer, right? So 2 ways. Either we prevent the failure from happening altogether, or we do the job faster. Of course, we want to do it safe and with high quality. Those are the only 2 ways you can get reliability. Think about that for a second, right? So prevent. We can have, just some examples, right? We can have lubrication. We can install things correctly from the beginning. We can align equipment. We can balance equipment. We can have better operating practices. We can design equipment correctly from the beginning. All things, if you don't think that my words are right. Sometimes it works better to say extend life, because you're not going to prevent a failure from ever. But all these things will extend life on equipment. That's one way of getting higher reliability. It runs longer. I feel like I'm standing here preaching to the choir, but I was like, yeah, I know. Where are the operators, right? We can design correctly. The next thing we can do is we can then inspect, plan, schedule, and then we can execute it with hire. And of course, we need some enablers. All these things can help us do that, but they're one stage away from what you actually need to happen on the floor. So this goes for whatever. If it's a digital solution, if you're buying a new CMMS, whatever you do, but it's very common that we as managers, many of you are managers, in reliability maintenance, we move away from that goal too far. And we sit and work on things that does not have an effect on the floor. When was the last time you went down and just sat in the shop, talked to the maintenance guys to actually get some change in reliability maintenance, for example? So let's go back to the APM, what I see as APM. Machine learning, one problem that I see, I'm going to take a couple of problems, I see a couple of possibilities, and this is just my opinion. But one thing is, if we put sensors on the process, if I'm in a paper mill, that's what I'm very familiar with, or a chemical plant, then the process changes every second, right? The pH value, I can monitor, I can measure it every second. Well, if I'm going to measure maintenance failures, because that's what we're trying to catch, right? It looks like that. A motor can run for 15 years. And then I run into that PF curve. Well, how in the world am I going to... I'll be way retired before I get the data on this motor, right? Even if you put in 1,000 motors, or if you take 10 plants and you have 10,000 motors, you still don't have enough data to really catch it, right? We don't have enough data, especially if your plant is pretty good and pretty reliable, you don't have very many failures, you're really in trouble, right? So this is one problem that I don't really see anybody answering for me. So that's why we do rotating equipment, we do vibration analysis, because that is something we can continuously measure. I get it, but what else? Another thing to think about, you cannot find everything with sensors cost effectively. Somebody's going to say, well, we can put up a camera, data. Okay, but really, think about a leak in a pipe. Would I buy an AI solution for that? I mean, base price to just get a test for 3 months is $50,000, right? I'm not going to spend $50,000 to find a pipe. I'm going to send you out and say, go look for leaks. That's what I'm going to do, because it's more cost effective. And it's not so bad, right? Can you find a water hammer in a piping system? Can you find a steam trap? Can you listen to it and know if it's cycling correctly with AI? I don't know, maybe, but I think it'd be too expensive. Can I do a corroded bracket? Something like a pipe hanger? Would I use AI for that? Or an AC motor fan missing a blade? I go look at it, right? I go look at it real cheap. Can I find it in a vibration? I doubt it. I challenge anybody to find that in a vibration spectrum. And they're pretty good. Missing bolts, right? We can go on and on. Chain drive, belt drive. I mean, how are you going to check this with AI? AI can be checking a lot of good stuff, but they have its limitations, what you can do with sensors, at least today. And one of these days, we're probably going to have robots going around, and you're going to send this failure signal to a robot, and that robot can, of course, repair another robot. We don't have a warehouse, because the robots are going to go and send a signal through the cloud to this warehouse where you have a 3D printer to get your part, and they're going to pick it up, et cetera, right? And they're going to go repair the equipment automatically. But we're not quite there yet. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. So this is another thing. There's a lot of stuff you need to do. So regardless if you have this solution or not with predicting failures automatically, whatever you want to call it, APM, you still need to have people out there on the floor. You need to train them.